Many Pokemon moves have interesting inspirations. So what's up fellas, I'm Matt, and that's what Elias and I are going to talk about today. We'll look at a bunch of moves and go over what their origins might be. Alright, let's get started.
What's up, I'm Elias, and Magnitude is an early to mid-game ground type attack. It's not the most reliable move in the universe though, because it deals random damage. When you click Magnitude, the game generates a value from 4 to 10, and the number you get dictates the move's strength.
Magnitude 4 is just 10 base power, which makes it one of the weakest moves in the game. But if you get Magnitude 10, you'll deal 150 base powers worth of damage instead. But Magnitudes 1 through 3 don't exist at all, and we think that's because of how Earthquakes work in real life. Even though there's another move that's literally called Earthquake, Magnitude also involves shaking the ground to deal damage.
Real earthquakes are measured using the moment magnitude scale. Most sources refer to it as the Richter scale, even though that's actually an older system that's fallen out of use. For the purposes of this video though, the two systems are pretty much interchangeable, because small earthquakes will be about the same on both scales.
Most earthquakes have magnitudes that fall somewhere between 1 and 10, but weak earthquakes don't do any damage. They only start causing issues around a magnitude of 4, which is probably why the Pokemon move operates on a scale from 4 to 10. Anything weaker than that is very unlikely to damage anything, and humans usually don't feel earthquakes that are weaker than 3 at all.
In a way, Magnitude represents earthquakes better than the move that's actually called Earthquake, because Magnitude better reflects how we experience earthquakes in real life. Aside from the amount of damage these attacks deal, Earthquake and Magnitude share nearly all the same properties. They're both spread moves that hit your teammate in double battles, they double in power if the target is underground using Dig, and they both become half as strong during grassy terrain.
Curse is a unique move because it has two completely different effects. If the user isn't a ghost type, it'll raise their attack and defense by 1 stage, but it also lowers their speed by 1 stage to compensate. If they are a ghost type, they'll sacrifice half their max HP to put a curse on the target. While a Pokemon is cursed, they lose a quarter of their max health every turn.
Slow Pokemon love the non-ghost type version of this move, because it's essentially a bulk-up clone. Snorlax is the best Pokemon in competitive Gen 2, bar none, and many of its most common sets include Curse. This guy's base speed stat is just 30, so it doesn't mind that Curse makes it even slower. The attack and defense boosts are great, and the speed drop is negligible. The ghost type version also has some use cases, but it's a fairly rare choice.
This move's Japanese name has 2 meanings, which is why it has 2 different effects. The first meaning is curse like you might expect, since the user is putting a curse on the target, but this word can also mean slow, which is why the non-ghost type version lowers speed. Each meaning is written the same way in hiragana, but they have different kanji representations. The word they use here to mean slow can also mean something along the lines of dull or stupid. I feel like we're getting sidetracked a little more than we should by this baseball. We've been recording for 15 minutes and we've barely gotten 1 page done.
Don't worry. We'll focus after this. Assist is a move that's gained a lot of infamy over the years. Liepard has used this move to break several Gen 5 metagames, as well as Gen 9 National Dex Anything Goes. When you use Assist, the user calls a random move known by one of its teammates. That includes Pokemon that aren't on the battlefield, and even unhatched eggs. So by using Assist, Liepard could call something like Pichu's Volt Tackle, even if said Pichu hasn't been born yet.
Could you imagine going up to a pregnant woman and saying, "Hey, can I ask your baby for financial advice?"
Yes.
Please do not ask an unborn baby for financial advice.
Put it all on black. Let it ride.
The only Pokemon that can learn Assist by level up are cats, namely the Skitty, Glameow, and Purloin lines. That's because the move's Japanese name is Cat's Paw. It's inspired by this saying, which roughly translates to, "I'd even want to borrow a cat's paws." More literally, it means you need all the help you can possibly get, such as asking a baby for financial advice.
When a Pokemon uses Assist, they're getting help from their team in a similar way. Honestly, I think they get too much help sometimes. Cough, dive, cough, revival, blessing, cough. Assist has wrecked real and hypothetical formats alike, thanks in part to Liepard having the ability Prankster. Cough, sneeze.
When it comes to special fire-type moves, Gen 1 introduced 2 main options, and they've been mainstays ever since. Flamethrower is 100% accurate, but Fire Blast is stronger. Both moves see use in competitive play, and which one you use comes down to personal preference a lot of the time. Fire Blast generates a flame with a distinctive shape, which is a reference to a festival that takes place in Kyoto.
This festival's full name roughly translates to the 5 Mountainous Send-Off Fires, but it also has a shorter name that means big letter. In the evening, 5 bonfires are lit on various mountains over the course of about half an hour. The first bonfire is lit at 8 p.m. and it takes the shape of the kanji for dai, which means big. It's also the word for big in Chinese, pronounced da. More you know.
Yeah, the more you know. The fourth bonfire is the same kanji, and it's lit on a mountain about 15 minutes later. This character has the same shape as the move Fire Blast. That makes perfect sense in-game, because Fire Blast was the biggest, strongest fire-type move in Gen 1, with a base power of 120. 3 other bonfires are lit during the festival, and they take the shapes of a boat, a shrine gate, and another kanji. All 5 of them are visible by 8:30.
Next up, Razor Wind is a pretty strange move. It was absolutely terrible in Gen 1 because it was 75% accurate and took 2 turns. Honestly, it's still terrible now, even though it's 100% accurate and has a high critical hit ratio. You're telegraphing what move you're going to use, which gives your opponent ample time to prepare.
Anyway, this move's Japanese name is Kamaitachi. That's the name of a weasel yokai from Japanese folklore, which rides on dust devils and uses its sharp claws to wound people. Its name roughly translates to sickle weasel in English. Jotonian Sneasel is based on these legends, in which the Kamaitachi gives people cuts with its claws.
You should probably watch Game of Thrones or read it.
I have the books, I've been meaning to read them.
They're good, read them. They're rated R, but read them anyways.
I'm 22!
Excuse me, I was in the middle of reading a script that we need to do for financial support. Hisuian Sneasel is based on a similar legend called Yamamisaki, which makes people sick instead. That could be why the Hisuian form is a poison type. Even though Sneasel and Razor Wind are both inspired by the same yokai, this guy has never been able to learn that move. Wonderful. Razor Wind was removed from the game in Sword and Shield though, so Hisuian Sneasel never had a chance to learn it in the first place.
Here on Me Plays Games, we love us some baseball. I'm a Yankees fan and Elias is a Mets fan. Do with that information what you will. Anyway, here's one Pokemon move that might be inspired by baseball. Gyro Ball is a unique move that deals damage based on speed. The slower the user is compared to the target, the more damage it deals. If the user is at least 5.96 times slower, Gyro Ball maxes out at 150 base power. Stakataka is one of the slowest Pokemon in the game, which makes Gyro Ball its best Steel Stab.
This move could be inspired by a baseball pitch with the same name. The Gyro Ball was discovered with computer simulations in 2001 by a Japanese scientist named Ryutaro Himeno. Usually when a pitch is thrown, it has some kind of vertical spin. To give a few examples, traditional fastballs have backspin, which causes them to fall slower, and curveballs have topspin to make them fall faster. And then there's the knuckleball, which has basically no spin. But don't worry about it.
Shoutouts to R.A. Dickey.
There's a knuckleballer active right now.
Matt Waldron, I think you're thinking of?
Yeah, I think so. How's he doing?
Last time I checked, bad.
Unlike most pitches, the gyro ball spins sideways.
Himeno brought his findings to Kazushi Chizuka, a pitching coach who came up with the technique to actually throw the pitch. The gyro ball spin is less like traditional pitches and more like the movement of an American football, but it's also been compared to the movement of bullets, which are made of metal. So that could be why gyro ball is a steel type move. Some people have also compared the gyro ball to a cricket delivery called the googly. That's not really relevant to this video, but googly is a very funny name. Great googly moogly.
According to Tezuka, many younger pitchers around the world throw gyro balls by accident. I'm pretty sure that included me back in the day when I used to play baseball. Whoops. Over time, most kids stop throwing gyro balls because their coaches teach them more standard ways of pitching. But there are several Japanese pitchers who throw gyro balls at a professional level, like Tetsuro Kawajiri and Shunsuke Watanabe.
So, you're gonna get paid quite handsomely, this month.
Nice. I like being handsome.
We love, a handsome gentleman in this house. Tezuka also believes that some MLB pitchers threw gyro balls unintentionally, including Pedro Martinez and Jared Weaver. Some people thought Daisuke Matsuzaka was a gyro ball pitcher as well, but further research suggests that he wasn't. In any case, the Pokemon move is a high-speed spin, which also describes the baseball pitch quite nicely.
Court Change is Cinderace's signature move, and it's quite a good one. Upon using this move, entry hazards and other battle effects swap sides, so if your opponent has used a move like Reflect or Tailwind, Cinderace can steal them. If they've set up hazards, Cinderace can give them a taste of their own medicine.
Cinderace is heavily inspired by soccer, which is one of many sports where the two teams swap sides halfway through. Elias just highlighted that entire paragraph and I do not know why.
Sorry, that was a misclick. I didn't mean to do anything.
One half of a field might be advantageous for various reasons compared to the other half. In soccer, that includes factors like where the sun is shining, which way the wind is blowing, and the slope of the pitch itself. So by switching sides, both teams get to play on the better half at some point, which makes the game slightly more fair.
Swapping sides also occurs during indoor sports, like basketball and hockey. During March Madness last year, several women's games were accidentally played with uneven three-point lines. On one side of the court, the line was the correct distance away from the basket, but on the other side, it was drawn 9 inches too close.
A handful of games were played on that court before the mistake was discovered. It was eventually caught before an Elite 8 game between UConn and USC. Both had coaches agree to play the game anyway, possibly because both teams would benefit from the shorter three-point line. One team would use it in the first half, and the other team would use it in the second half.
Don't mind me. I'm just messing around with something on the side here.
Are you playing Civ 5 again?
No. In a similar vein, Cinderace uses Court Change to flip the battlefield, which can remove hazards from its side. That turns a disadvantage into an advantage, which can also happen when sports teams switch sides at halftime. Hockey is played with 3 periods instead of 2 halves or 4 quarters, so the 2 teams switch sides twice per game.
Some moves have more variance than you might expect. Slash is a 70 power physical move with a high crit ratio, and there are 5 moves with the same properties. I don't know about you guys, but I can't remember the last time I used Cross Poison. Anyway, Night Slash is a dark type version of Slash, and it's got quite an infamous origin.
Night Slash's Japanese name translates to Crossroad Killing, which is a reference to samurai in feudal Japan. Sometimes a samurai would learn a new fighting technique or get a new weapon, and they would test it out by going out into the night and attacking a random passerby. Okay. These attacks often happen at intersections between roads, hence the crossroad in its Japanese name.
These attacks were most often carried out with swords, which is why Night Slash is a slicing move, but they were also used to test out martial arts techniques like Jujitsu. So who knows, maybe in an alternate universe this is a fighting type move or something. Either way, this was one way for samurai to gauge how effective their new tools were.
When it comes to the origins of Pokemon moves, nearly everything you hear is an educated guess. Many details about the Pokemon world have never been confirmed by Game Freak, so take this video with a grain of Knackle-Stack.
Have you started recording?
I've been recording for 2 minutes and 56 seconds.
I've been recording for 5 minutes and 23 seconds. Get on my level, scrub.
Okay. Can you remind me what match game is?
It's the game where you fill in the blanks.
And then you had to try and pick the most obvious answer.
You would have to pick whatever you think the celebrity panel said.
And everybody knows that celebrities are not real humans, so the answers are probably stupid.
The celebrities they have are fairly intelligent.
Yeah,
What?
sure.
Richard Dawson is rapidly approaching your location.
I don't think I know any of the ancient Paradox Pokemon. All anybody memes about is the, like the futuristic looking ones.
You know, True Green 7 made a great April Fool's video, like, you know how he does, like, Pokemon art?
Yeah.
So one time, he made an April Fool's video where he made future and past versions of Paradox Pokemon. He literally just redrew existing Pokemon and gave them new names.
Nice.
I love that. I think that was a great video. A lot better than our April Fool's video.
All right, we're done. Go home.